You can measure the size of an elephant. You can clock the speed of a cheetah, but you can't quantify the heart of a kings, queens, and in-betweens. Welcome to Dr. Boxing Talk. Stream starts now.
The champ is here! 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 The champ is here!
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know one lines.
Good, great, grand morning to y'all, man. Y'all know what time it is. The doctor's in the house. What it do, what it do, what it do, what it do. We are here in the mountain while you're yonting. Let's go ahead and get this thing fired up. Let's get this thing popping. Yep. Let's hit this roll call. We got Smoochie in the building. We got Oscar in the building. Oh, we got Stretches in the building. I need to stretch. Yep. Oh man, all right. So look, check this out, man. Let's get right to it. You know, let's thank the Most High and then get to the boxing, man. So please bow your heads. Thank you, Lord, for waking us up to see this wonderful Thursday. This wonderful Thursday morning, Lord. Thank you for protecting us so far throughout the week. And please, let's continue throughout the end of this week and into the next. And many more weeks beyond that, Lord. Please bless us with good health and good wealth, Lord. And let us wake up on the right side of the bed and with going into the day with positive thoughts and ambition and attitude of triumph and courage, Lord. And please continue to let us be able to find the strength to stand up for what is right and stand up for those who are not in a position to stand up for themselves. And regardless of how society will receive our actions, as long as we're doing the right thing and we're aiming to please you, then we will be rewarded and glorified for that, Lord. So thank you for giving us the strength to be individuals and do the right thing and live for each other and not just ourselves. In Jesus' name, amen. So look, so it has been announced yesterday, maybe the day before, I saw it, but it was officially announced yesterday that we have a fight between Derek Chisora and Jarrell Big Baby Miller. You know, Big Baby Miller, last time we saw Big Baby Miller, he fought Andy Ruiz to a draw. A lot of people thought that it was controversial because a lot of people thought Jarrell Big Baby Miller won, and I'm one of those people. So it seemed like a robbery, even though it was a draw. You know, and it was a good fight though. It was a good fight. I believe that was on the undercard. What fight? That was on the undercard of the Terrence Crawford and Israel Madrimov fight on August 3rd, right? Or whatever date it was. I believe it was the 3rd or the 11th. I can't remember. Earlier this year for that phenomenal Riyadh season card where it infiltrated the states, right? And it was in LA. And then last time we saw Derek War Chisora, he was going against Joe Joyce, and he won a great fight. That was a great war, you know what I'm saying? Against two fringe level contenders, you know what I'm saying? They're both good fighters, you know, but right now at the point of their career, you know, and with Derek Chisora being, I think 42, 41, he's definitely not getting better, but he still proved that he's a formidable fighter by beating Joe Joyce, and I don't think Joe Joyce would ever return to form now. So anyway, we get into Chisora versus Jarrell Big Baby Miller, and it's on February 8th, good Lord willing. Yay, right? Because you know, that's my birthday, and I don't know if y'all remember, but I remember. You know, boxing, they don't really be showing me love on my birthday, man. I ain't gonna lie. So no disrespect to Derek Chisora and Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Hopefully we can get them on. I'm gonna try to reach out, see if I can get one of them on, if not both, you know. But yeah, I think that's it's a good fight. It's gonna be an exciting fight, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like a fight that anybody is looking forward to, you know what I'm saying? No disrespect to them. I'm gonna watch it, but it's not like a big hype fight, right? That's on my birthday. I could think of other fights that I would like to see on my birthday, but if you know, on 2024 February 8th, I'll let y'all guess. Go look in the archives. Who fought on February 8th on my birthday this year? It was Tio Stank Fimo, the racist, versus Steve Claggett. Yes, that was the fight on February 8th. Boo! That joint was. That was a fight of. No. I'm lying. Sorry, I'm lying. It wasn't Teofimo and Steve Claggett. It was Teofimo and Jermaine Ortiz. Excuse me. That fight was trash. That was like one of the worst fights I've ever seen in my life. Teofimo versus Jermaine Ortiz was the fight on my birthday on February 8th. That joke was so terrible, bro. Boxing doesn't love me, you know, because the fights that happened on my birthday are fights that I'm not really interested in. So back to back. First we had Teofimo Lopez versus Jermaine Ortiz, one of the worst fights in boxing history, and then next February 8th we have Jarrell Big Baby Miller and Derek Chisora. But I will say, in their defense, Jarrell Big Baby Miller and Derek War Chisora, that's going to be a good fight. You know, it's going to be a good fight. It's just not a big fight. You know, I fully anticipate Jarrell Big Baby Miller to continue his forward momentum, even though he came off of a draw against Andy Ruiz. I expect him to beat Derek War Chisora. But, you know, going off of performances, I think it's just off of paper, right? If you didn't watch the fight, then you would think that you would think that Derek Chisora getting a win over Joe Joyce is more impressive than getting a draw with Andy Ruiz if you're Jarrell Big Baby Miller, and that's true. But if you watch the fight, a lot of people feel like Andy Ruiz lost that fight and Jarrell Big Baby Miller won. He just didn't get the decision. So I think when you consider those things, and then age, and if you actually watch the fight with Joe Joyce and Derek War Chisora, Joe Joyce just looked like he was getting hit by anything. You know what I'm saying? You could have charged up a spirit bomb and a Kamehameha, and it would have hit him. You know what I'm talking about? He would have sat there and just looked at it with eyes wide open, like the Creed song. Or, I don't know, is that Creed? Eyes wide open. You know what I'm talking about? But anyway, he would have been like a deer in headlights. But yeah, so February 8th, we have Chisora versus Miller. It was not too bad. We got Define Irony in the building. Let's hit this roll call. Continue this roll call. We got Dub in the building. KO. Facts. If it was pre-rehab, it would be a lit fight. Yeah, true. That's a fact. But yeah, so let's move on, man. I want to move on to other things before we get into this, because I'm about to go in on Jai Opetaia. Not on Jai Opetaia, but Jai Opetaia's fans, and every not just Jai Opetaia's fans, boxing fans in general. We're going to talk about it, you know what I'm saying? But most recently, Jai Opetaia fans, because y'all are ridiculous. I like Jai Opetaia too. He's a beast. Shout out to the Aussie brethren. You know what I'm saying? The Aussie brethren down there and down under. But y'all are ridiculous. Y'all got to chill out. So we gonna get some straightening today. But yeah, so I was reading some things, and speaking about ducking, it's going to be Nice little segue to Jai Opetaia. But Amanda Serrano has been accused of ducking by Sky Nicholson for a while. But if you listen to what Sky Nicholson is saying, she's not really saying that she's ducking, but she's saying that she's ducking. And I do agree with Sky Nicholson, but I want to be very clear first off before we get into this. Amanda Serrano beat the hell out of Sky Nicholson, in my opinion. In my opinion, I think Amanda Serrano will beat the hell out of Sky Nicholson. I will say it again. I like Sky Nicholson. In fact, I like Sky Nicholson more than I like Amanda Serrano. But once again, I think Amanda Serrano will beat the hell out of Sky Nicholson. Now that we got that out of the way, just because I think that, it doesn't mean that the fight shouldn't happen. Sky Nicholson deserves that fight. She's a WBC title holder, I believe, and Amanda Serrano has the other belts. She has the IBF and the WBA. I think so. I think she has the IBF and the WBA, and I think she might even have one more. I think she might have the WBO as well. But Sky Nicholson has a WBC, and I think that she deserves that fight. She's been calling out Amanda Serrano for a while. She's been wanting to unify, and she deserves that, you know. So and she does make a great point. She says that Amanda Serrano hasn't fought at 126, which is featherweight, for a while. So if you're not going to fight for a while, and then you fighting Katie Taylor, and then you calling out Katie Taylor again for a trilogy, then that means you haven't been fighting for the last year. It's been over a year. That's not a long time in boxing terms, right? Because in a year you can only have one fight or two fights or three fights, probably most three fights, unless you're Abdullah Mason, a prospect who's fighting like 5 times. But if you're like a big, well-known, and you have established some renown, you're a popular fighter, then you probably only fight at most 2 or 3 times, right? So in the year's time, Amanda Serrano's fought twice, and neither of them have been at featherweight. They've been at 135 against Stevie Morgan, and then most recently against Katie Taylor. She's talking about potentially having another fight against Katie Taylor again for a trilogy. So to be fair, Sky Nicholson is right about that. I think that Amanda Serrano should either fight Sky Nicholson or vacate. So I do agree with her, but I wouldn't say that she's ducking, because, you know, but it doesn't matter, you know, by definition it would be. I still want to call it a duck, but, you know, I do think that it's the responsibility of not Amanda Serrano, but the sanctioning bodies to strip her, because I do think that the belt should at least become available. And I will say that Sky Nicholson in particular, she's been calling out Amanda Serrano for like 2 years now, so you could kind of say that it's a duck, but like I said, I don't think so. I just think that Amanda Serrano, in this point of her career, she's prioritizing bigger names and bigger fights, you know what I'm saying? So I just think she's not in the plans for her. But if she's not in the plans, then I think you should give up the belt, you know. But I don't think it's a duck. Now, speaking of ducking, you know what I'm saying? Irony says, I was so happy for Chisora in the Joe. Yeah, me too. I was happy for Chisora as well. Facts. That was a good fight too, man. Chisora war Chisora. He deserved that. He did good. Especially an older fighter, man. He put on for the older fighters. But I don't like this fight for Chisora. I think Miller's gonna beat the hell out of him. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's gonna look good, like maybe the first couple rounds, but I think Jerome Miller's gonna. But then you never know. It's heavyweight, and I don't know. But I think Jerome Miller's gonna win. In my personal opinion. Appreciate everybody in the stream right now too. Don't forget to smash that like button. But now let's get to Jai Opetaia, man. The meat and potatoes, the main topic, right? And it's probably gonna be wrap this up quickly. But people are saying that Jai Opetaia, everybody's ducking Jai Opetaia, right? That's what everybody's saying, right? Especially if you're a Jai Opetaia fan, because, you know, when you like a certain fighter, you can't have common sense. You gotta abandon common sense. You gotta disregard all type of rationale and logic, right? Because it's your favorite fighter. So in this case, it's a lot of guys that I've been seeing, and girls, claiming that everybody's ducking and dodging and hiding from Jai Opetaia in the cruiserweight division, the guy that has one belt. So let's talk about it, right? Mike in the building, my guy. I got baby, no sweat Miller. Yeah, me too. So Jai Opetaia is a good fighter. I personally think that he's the best in the division. However, I don't rank him as the best. I rank Gilberto Ramirez as the best, because Gilberto Ramirez has half of the hardware, right? He has 2 of the 4 belts. So in my personal opinion, the ranking that contributes a lot when you talk about ranking. So for me, yes, Jai Opetaia has a Ring Magazine belt, and he is the guy that beat the champ. So he's the guy that beat the guy. So he's the lineal champion when he beat Marius Bradis. But, you know, the 4 belts are IBF, WBA, WBC, WBO. And Gilberto Ramirez has 2 of those, the WBA and the WBO, right? And he has the IBF, and Noel McCallan. Jai Opetaia has the IBF, and Noel McCallan has the WBC. So And when you think about his opponents, right? Gilberto Ramirez beat undefeated Arsene Goulamarian to get the championship, and then he just beat Chris Billion Smith, who wasn't undefeated, but he's the next closest thing to undefeated because he only had one loss against Richard Riakapori, and he avenged that loss. So he beat everybody that he shared the ring with, kind of like the greats like Lennox the Lion Lewis and Juan Francisco Estrada. He did that up until he lost to Bear Rodriguez. You know, he didn't avenge that Bear Rodriguez loss, and I don't blame him for not trying. But everybody else he lost to or had a draw with, he fought him again, spun the block, and he got a dub over them. So that's next best thing to undefeated, right? So those are Gilberto Ramirez's 2 wins for titles, right? Chris Billiam Smith to unify, and Arsene Goulamarian to establish himself as a champion, right? So let's look at the timeline, right? So people are saying Jai Opetaia, everybody's ducking Jai Opetaia. That's why he fought Jack Massey. Well, slow down, though, buddy, because Jai Opetaia, he won his IBF belt against Jordan Thompson some years ago, but then he vacated to fight that Zorro guy, right? Vacating means he didn't have a belt. Then he fought Maris Bradis in May of this year, May 2024. Yes, 6 months ago, he just fought Maris Bradis to get his belt back. It was a vacant title fight. So how could the other champions duck a guy who wasn't a champion up until 6 months ago? So let's follow the timeline, right? Now, since then, Jai Opetaia, he had his belt. He beat Maris Bradis in May, and then he just fought Jack One Smack Massey, right? Okay, so he fought Jack One Smack Massey. Let's see what happened in the interim. Well, first off, let's say Jai Opetaia is ordered to fight Huseyin Cinkara, who's the IBF mandatory. So that's what I'm saying. So because he's not fighting Gilberto Ramirez or Noel McCalin, does that mean he's ducking the champions? No, if you pay attention to boxing, you would know that he has to fight his mandatory. If he doesn't satisfy his mandatory in Huseyin Cinkara, he will be stripped. So he's not ducking the other champions either. But guess what? Just like he has to fight his mandatory now, other champions had to fight their mandatory before. So let's start off with Noel McCalin, WBC champion, right? Let me show you this right here. I could show you, Brandon. I could tell you. Let me bring you to Dr. Boxing Talk School of Boxing. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Boxing Talk School of Boxing Talk. So Noel McCalin right here would again withdraws from defense against Ryan Rozicki. Why is this important? Because when you go to boxing rankings, let's see what Ryan Rozicki is. Coincidentally, oh, Noel McCalin, he's a WBC champion. Ryan Rozicki is a #1. Meaning he's the mandatory. Just like Jai Opetaia is the IBF champion, Huseyin Cinkara is #1, meaning he's the mandatory. So let's go back here. Noel McCalin has withdrawn from the defense against Ryan Rozicki again, meaning he's done it before. So if you look, Noel McCalin had the defense on December 7th. He was ordered by WBC to defend against Ryan Rozicki, right? It was originally scheduled for June 7th. That's when the mandatory was scheduled, for June 7th. Jai Opetaia, let me show you Jai Opetaia real quick. Jai Opetaia, let's bring this over here. Jai Opetaia, he won a vacant cruiserweight title in, like I told y'all before, May. What comes after May, chat? What comes after May, chat? January, February, March, April, May, June. So Noel McCalin was scheduled to fight his mandatory in June. How could he duck somebody who didn't have a title until May if he was scheduled to fight somebody in June? That means that the fight was already called before. Fights don't get called instantaneously, right? So he was probably called to fight the guy in June. The guy that he was supposed to fight in June, he was probably called to fight for him in like February. So he was called to fight his mandatory before Jai Opetaia even had a belt. So how could he be ducking Jai Opetaia, who's beltless? That's #1. So guess what? So we can no longer say Noel McCalin, one of the champions, is ducking Jai Opetaia, right? So that's cool. We debunked that theory, right? So the WBC champion did not duck Jai Opetaia. He might be ducking Ryan Rozicki. That might be something to talk about, which I think he is. But he didn't duck Jai Opetaia because Jai Opetaia didn't have a belt when he was called to fight his mandatory. That's #1. So Noel McCalin's in the clear of ducking Jai Opetaia. Can we agree on that? Let's agree on that. Now let's go to Gilberto Ramirez. No. Let's go to Chris Billiam Smith. I think Chris Billiam Smith, who since he's not the champion anymore, he was a WBO champion, right? Let's go to Chris Billiam Smith, right? Chris Billiam Smith. Let's see this. So Chris Billion Smith got the WBO Cruiserweight title from Masternak in 2023 December. So December 2023, right? Not even a year yet, right? Because we're not in December 2024. So he hasn't even had it for a year yet, right? So he got it from Masternak, right? Sorry, he didn't get it from Masternak. Sorry, he got it from Bakole. Sorry, he got it from Bakole. He won his WBO belt from Bakole in May 2023. Then he defended against Masternak, right? Which I'm sure that was a voluntary defense, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember. But either way, in 2023, so Opetaia, I'm just saying, Oscar. I mean, I'm just maybe. So he had his belt, and then guess what? So once he made a defense against Masternak, which you could argue that maybe he was ducking Jai Opetaia. I mean, but then we go to Jai Opetaia, and Jai Opetaia, he got his belt against Maris Bradis, right here, right? He got his belt against Maris Bradis the first time, and then he got it. That was in 2022. So we could say hypothetically, right? Even though he fought in September, he fought in September against Jordan Thompson, right? And let's see, the funny thing about that is, Chris Billion Smith just got his belt against Loris Okoli in May. So after he fought, Chris Billion Smith had it in June. Chris Billion Smith had it in May. He got his in July, right? So Chris Billion Smith fighting Loris Okoli just got his belt. Jai Opetaia got his belt 2 months later in July. Then Jai Opetaia fought Jordan Thompson, right? In September. Chris Billion Smith fought Masternak in December. So unless you're saying that they could have fought right then, that's the only time that they really could have fought. And Jai Opetaia fought Jordan Thompson, which I believe, I don't remember if he was a mandatory or not, and I don't remember if Masternak was a mandatory or not. But either way, the fights didn't fall through, right? So you could say that they had that little 3-month span they could have fought. Maybe one of them are ducking each other. Then he fought Richard Riakporhe. Why is this important? Because in June 15th, he fought Richard Riakporhe, which guess what? Let me show you this right here. Richard Riakporhe, this is an article for Boxing Scene. Richard Riakporhe says he'll have all the answers against rival Chris Billion Smith. Richard Riakporhe, he said, there was a period of time when I did think that they were going to cross again. Riakporhe said, he's speaking about him and Chris Billion Smith. He said, explain the fighting Chris Billion Smith again. So he said, there was a period of time when I did think they were going to cross again. Riakporhe explained the fighting CBS again. I felt like I was going to get my world title, unify, and then move up to heavyweight. That was in the back of my mind. It's funny how things turn out. Now we're back at it again. He ended up winning the title before me. He, as in Chris Billion Smith, ended up winning the title before me. And now I'm his what? I'm his mandatory challenger for the world title. I didn't expect that. So when Chris Billion Smith fought Richard Riakporhe in June, that was his mandatory. Just like, coincidentally, Jai Opetaia is fighting his mandatory now. He fought his mandatory against Riakporhe in June. So if he wouldn't have fought his mandatory, he would have had to vacate. So he could not have fought Jai Opetaia because he was fighting his mandatory. Jai Opetaia, in that case, he vacated right here after beating Jordan Thompson and fought Ellis Zorro. So he didn't even have a belt. So by the time Chris Billion Smith fought his mandatory, Jai Opetaia no longer had a belt. He no longer had a belt by the time he was ordered to fight his mandatory. Then he got his belt back in May of this year, the month before Chris Billion Smith fought his mandatory. So unless you wanted him to fight like this was the 1940s, where they would fight back to back or two times in 2 weeks, how could he fight somebody in a month who just got the belt and he was supposed to fight his mandatory? So if he would have fought Jai Opetaia instead of fighting his mandatory, he would have been stripped and there would have been no point in fighting him, because he's not even ranked in the IBF. Because when you're a champion, you're not ranked in the other rankings. As you can see, you don't see Gilberto Ramirez, who's a champion in WBA. He's not in the WBC ranked in the top 15, is he? No, he's not, because he's a champion. Meaning that Chris Billion Smith, who was a WBO champion, he wouldn't be ranked in the IBF because he's a champion. So how would he have fought Jai Opetaia? Riakporhe, thank you, Truth, Riakporhe, thank you. When I call it Riakporhe, I keep calling it Riakporhe. Thank you, Riakporhe, thank you. So Richard Riakporhe. So my point is that when you look at these things, you will notice that people aren't really ducking. You're just a groupie of one of the fighters that you like, and you think everybody's scared of him. So I think did I pretty much debunk Chris Billion Smith not ducking Jai Opetaia? And then guess what Chris Billion Smith did? When Jai Opetaia was fighting Jack Massey in October of this year, what did Chris Billiam Smith do? He just fought Gilberto Ramirez for unification this month, which is a month apart. So unless you think fights are called within 30 days, which they're not, because look, this is proof right here, right? I just told you that Jarrell Big Baby Miller versus Daniel Dubois, Jarrell Big Baby Miller versus Derek Warchesora has been called in February. We're in November. That's 3 months away. So fights aren't called in 30 days. So if somebody fights within 30 days of each other, please believe that they already knew they were fighting each other at least 2 or 3 months before. That's why you have a 2 or 3 month training camp. A 12-week training camp, that's 3 months. So if you have a 12-week training camp, that's already 3 months. 4 months sometimes. Sorry, excuse me. I said 3 months. No, yeah, 3 months. I'm tripping. That's already 3 months because 4 weeks in a month. So if you have a 12-week training camp, that you already have your opponent set and you've been preparing for him for 3 months. So usually it's more than 3 months. So how could Chris Billiam Smith have fought Jai Opetaia when they only had gaps of a month between when Jai Opetaia got his championship, lost his championship, and reacquired his championship, and Chris Billiam Smith was fighting his mandatories. So I think we debunked Chris Billiam Smith ducking Jai Opetaia. Now, could they have fought? Yeah, probably. They could have maybe, I don't know, gave some step aside money. They could have did some stuff like that. Yes, but just like Chris Billiam Smith could have gave Richard Riakporhe some step aside money, then Jai Opetaia could give Huseyin Cinkara some step aside money and fight Gilberto Ramirez or Noel McCallan, right? Don't apply one logic towards one fighter and that you're not applying to the others. So if they could all avoid their mandatory by giving step aside money, then Jai Opetaia could do that right now. So let's see if he does it, because if he doesn't do that, then he's ducking, right? So okay, so we just debunked Chris Billiam Smith, so we can get rid of him. Now let's go to the other champion, Gilberto Ramirez. Gilberto Ramirez, which you already talked about, right? He just acquired his championship from Arsen Goulamirian this year in March. In March of this year, 2024, Jai Opetaia wasn't even a champion. Jai Opetaia, like I told you, he vacated when he fought Jordan Thompson. After he fought Jordan Thompson in 2023 in September. He fought Zorro in December. He just fought Maris Bradis in May of this year to get his title back, right? So Gilberto Ramirez just got his championship in March. So when he got his championship against Arsen Goulamirian, the undefeated champion of the WBA, right? Jai Opetaia wasn't a champion himself. So how could Gilberto Ramirez be ducking him? He literally, when he got his title, Jai Opetaia wouldn't be a champion in the cruiserweight for 2 more months. He got his championship belt at cruiserweight in March. Jai Opetaia didn't get his IBF belt back until May. So if anybody ducked anybody, it would be Jai Opetaia ducking Gilberto Ramirez. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't think he was ducking either, but if anybody was ducking anybody, it would be him ducking Gilberto Ramirez. That'd be more logical, you know. So then after he got his title, Gilberto Ramirez in March, right? At the end of March, and Jai Opetaia just got his belt in May, right? Then what did he do? In November, he went and he unified with Chris Billiam Smith, right? What was Jai Opetaia doing? Jai Opetaia went and fought Jack Massey. Because after he got his belt in May, maybe, just maybe, Gilberto Ramirez and Chris Billiam Smith were already in talks to have a unification because they both were belt holders by the time he got his belt. So like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I really don't know what to tell you, man. By the time in May 2024, by the time Jai Opetaia got his belt back, Gilberto Ramirez and Chris Billiam Smith were already belt holders, and they could have already been scheduling a fight between each other, a unification. And you know what's a testament to that? If you actually watch boxing and you watch Chris Billiam Smith and Gilberto Ramirez talk about it, this is not a secret. Chris Billiam Smith called up Gilberto Ramirez, and Gilberto Ramirez attested to this. Chris Billiam Smith, when the fight was made, he texted Gilberto Ramirez Zerdo and said, "I wish you the best against Arsen Goulamirian." And then when he beat Goulamirian, he called up Chris Billiam Smith and said, "Congratulations, now we can get a unification." This is all documented, chat. I'm not going to bring it up for you. You got to pay attention to boxing instead of pretending like you pay attention to boxing. So I'm not saying that Jai Opetaia is ducking, But I'm definitely not saying that Chris Billion Smith or Gilberto Ramirez or Noel McCain is ducking Jai Opetaia either. You got to know the facts, man. You can't just go off of your feelings. I know you think because you think that he's the baddest man on the planet, and you think that everybody's scared of your boo thing, No, that's just what you think. You think everybody's scared of your boo thing. That's not the case, man. I mean, these guys are fighters, man. So I'm not saying that people aren't scared of some people, but we got to be honest and tell the whole story. If you're going to say that these guys were ducking and scared of Jai Opetaia, then you have to say that Jai Opetaia is running right now because he's satisfying his mandatory and Huseyin Cinkara. Nobody wants that fight, right? But if you know the business of boxing and the order of things, then you would be more understanding. So no, I can't say that Chris Billion Smith ever ducked Jai Opetaia. I can't say that Noel McCain ever ducked Jai Opetaia. Maybe Noel McCain ducked Ryan Rozicki, but not Jai Opetaia. And I can never say that Gilberto Ramirez ducked anybody. That's just how it goes, man. So I just wanted to debunk that. I do think that Jai Opetaia is the best fighter in cruiserweight right now, but I don't think he's that much better than the rest of them that they're scared of him. So I don't believe that at all. I don't think Chris Billion Smith was scared. He's not a champion anymore, so it doesn't matter. But I don't think he was scared. I damn sure don't think Zerto was scared because Zerto has been fighting back to back. He fought an undefeated champion, Arsene Goulamirian, when he acquired his belt. He just fought Chris Billion Smith, who beat everybody that he stepped in the ring with, who's the next best thing to undefeated, and that's essentially been his cruiserweight run. His cruiserweight run has essentially been against undefeated guys or near undefeated guys. So yeah, I don't see why he would run from Jai Opetaia. Now, do I think he'll beat Jai Opetaia? I think it's a good fight. I don't think it's 50-50. I think it's more like 60-40 in favor of Jai Opetaia. But I think Zerto has a great chance of beating him. You know, I think he has a great chance of beating him. So we'll see how it goes, man. Gilberto Ramirez, if I'm not mistaken, he fought 3 fights at cruiserweight, right? After losing, like his last 4 fights was Bivol. That was his loss, right? His first loss. Then he fought Joe Smith Jr. immediately after moving up to cruiserweight. He beat him. Then he fought Arsene Goulamirian for a title. He beat him, who was undefeated champion. And then he unified against Chris Billion Smith and beat him. So does that sound like a guy that's ducking anybody? 3 of his fights at cruiserweight, 2 of them have been for titles or unifications. So like, come on, bro. Like, let's just tell the truth, bro. Like he's had 3 fights at cruiserweight. One was against Joe Smith Jr., who fought Bivol, Beterbiev, and beat B-Hop. That was his first fight at cruiserweight. That's a hell of a debut. And then he fought Arsene Goulamirian, undefeated champion. That's a hell of a second fight, you know. And then he fought Chris Billion Smith for unification. That's a hell of a third fight. So if he fights Jai Opetaia next, or if he fights Noel McCain, or if he fights in mandatory, that's still a hell of a run. Where is his days off? He's not taking no days off. He's fighting bangers back to back to back at cruiserweight. You know what I'm saying? So no, I can't say that guy's ducking because he's not fighting your favorite fighter. And if anything, I feel like I could say that Jai Opetaia I think it makes more logical sense that he's ducking Gilberto Ramirez. You know what I'm saying? If you want to say anybody's ducking, I don't think he's ducking. But if you're going to say that, then that's the one that makes most sense. You know, you're just going off of what, of course, Jai Opetaia and his team are going to say that the other champions don't want to fight him. I mean, everybody says that. Does that mean it's true? Jai Opetaia says nobody wants to fight him. Drum Businis says nobody wants to fight him. Who else? People would think that nobody wants to fight Bam Rodriguez, even though Fernando Martinez is calling him out because people want Bam Rodriguez to fight Junto Nakatani or Naya Inoue, right? But Fernando Martinez has called out Bam Rodriguez. So it depends on who you want to listen to. Then you'll say that they're ducking. Of course, boxing is marketing, right? So it makes more sense to market somebody as a big bad wolf and get people to think that. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's wrong, but like, just tell the whole story, man. I don't think like, and even with Boots, right? He would say that they're ducking him, and he probably feels like they're ducking him, right? But then if you go to Stanionis, if you go to Brian Norman, if you go to Mario Barrios, they all say the same thing. They say we don't ever get compensated enough to justify fighting Boots. They don't never offer enough money. So the common denominator is that they're not getting enough money. So you could say, oh yeah, they're scared. Or you could look into it and see what they're all saying. And all of the title holders at 147 are saying the same thing. So I think where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't think they will all be saying the same thing or regurgitating the same thing or rehearsed. I don't think they all got together and rehearsed the same thing and said, oh yeah, we're going to say that this is why we're not fighting Boots together in unison on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. we're not getting paid. Like, I don't think they have a union force against Boots to say that why they're not fighting him. No, I think what's closer to the truth is that Eddie Hearn or whoever Boots' handlers were at the time and are currently now, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, they're not offering enough compensation to justify the fight for the other fighters. It is what it is. So you can control the narrative if you want and kick it like that, but it is what it is, man. So I do think that Jai Opetaia fighting Huseyin Cinkara is a cool fight. I don't really know Huseyin Cinkara like that, but in order to keep your belt, you have to fight your mandatory. Just like Boots had to fight his mandatory and Karen Chukazan again for the rematch. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And if the fight doesn't happen, Gilberto Ramirez now has 2 mandatories, right? He has a WBO mandatory he may have to satisfy, and he has a WBA mandatory he may have to satisfy. So if he doesn't fight Jai Opetaia next, or Noel McCallan or Ryan Rozicki next, and he's fighting, what's his name, Uniel Dorticos, then or Michael Cieslak, then we know it's because he's satisfying his mandatory for the WBO or the WBA, because those 2 guys are the mandatories in those divisions, man. So we need to chill out with that ducking shit. Everybody's not ducking just because they're not fighting your favorite fighter, and you just want to make them seem like they're the big bad wolf because it makes you comfortable, because you live vicariously through Jai Opetaia, and you think because if he's tough and he's a big bad man, then that makes you a big bad man. No, it has nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody ducking. But if anybody's ducking, it's Jai Opetaia. Every day they're out there making ducktails. My guy Mike in the building. I think I already saluted Mike. But yeah, that's all I want to say, man. I don't think he's ducking, but sometimes you have to fulfill your obligations, and right now Jai Opetaia has to fulfill his obligation against Cinkara, and he'll be fighting him in January. He's not ducking anybody. He's just satisfying his obligations. But if you want to talk about somebody who is ducking, that might be my boy from the far East Coast, Big Bang Zhang, man. Zhang, man. I don't know, man. Apparently, like we talked about this before, Martin Bakole was supposed to fight an IBF title eliminator against Ajit Kabayel, and Ajit Kabayel has pulled out of purse bids. And me, I don't like to say somebody's ducking prematurely, so I gave him an out, right? I said, okay, it looks like a duck on the surface, but who doesn't have a title? Who doesn't have an opponent right now? Daniel Dubois. But he has a date in which he's fighting. That's February 22nd. So, right, we was waiting for the ducktail thing. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, Deb. So, he has a date to fight February 22nd, but he doesn't have an opponent, right? But Frank Warren has said it's going to be a top 5 opponent in the IBF. But the top 2 spots are vacant. Nobody's in there. So, there's a lot of options all the way from 1 through 7, because the top 2 are unoccupied. So you could say that 3 through 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are the top 5, right? So, according to the Sun Nigeria, which is a Nigerian newspaper, they're saying Efe Ajagba, who's ranked number 7, is primed to fight Daniel Dubois February 22nd. But then they also say that Ajit Kabayel was ordered to fight Daniel Dubois, but Ajit Kabayel bowed out humbly, right? And Bakole has accused him of running. And I don't blame him, because if I'm Bakole, I'd feel like that too. However, because Daniel Dubois, who's a title holder, and Ajit Kabayel is ranked higher than let me show you. Let me let y'all follow. It'll be easier if y'all follow with me. So Daniel Dubois, not rated, right? He's a champion of IBF. Their number 1 is not rated, number 2 is not rated, number 3 is Ajit Kabayel. But Ajit Kabayel is 3 and 4. And 4 is Bakole, 5 is Zhang, 6 is Frank Sanchez, 7 is Efe Ajagba. So if you look at it like this, Frank Warren said he'll be fighting a top 5 opponent. So that means he'll be fighting either Zhang, Bakole, Ajit Kabayel. But, boxing is funny and tricky. So if Frank Warren is trying to be slick and saying, oh, well, these top 2 aren't there, so that means that Efe Ajagba, number 7, is now the top 5. So from 3 to 7 is top 5. Then it makes sense for what the Sun Nigeria, the newspaper, have claimed, that it could be Efe Ajagba. He is a viable option, right? Or say Frank Sanchez, who just came off for loss to Ajit Kabayel, he's a viable option, right? But they ordered that Ajit Kabayel and Martin Bakole fight for an IBF title eliminator because these 2 spots are vacant. But Ajit Kabayel threw a monkey wrench in those plans, because he bowed out of the negotiations and purse bid with Martin Bakole. Now this is where I could give Ajit Kabayel an out instead of calling him a duck. if Daniel Dubois has called up Ajit Kabayel to fight, then I think that's a legitimate reason. And then Ajit will get back to being legit, because why would you fight Bakole in a mandatory eliminator just to get Dubois when you could potentially just get Dubois right out the gate? So if Ajit Kabayel backed out of the Bakole talks to go fight Daniel Dubois, then that makes sense, because who doesn't want to fight for a title, right? So that's his only out. It's yet to be determined. It's yet to be seen. And it's yet to be announced who Dubois is fighting. So we'll see. But we know Ajit Kabayel is not fighting Bakole. So since that happened, Bakole, who was originally scheduled or in talks to fight Zhang backed out. But I said, okay, hold on. Maybe Zhang backed out because Zhang also could be a potential opponent for Daniel Dubois. But it was Zhang hasn't been called to fight Daniel Dubois yet, right? So then that's when Bakole and Ajit Kabayel were called. Then Ajit Kabayel backed out, and now the IBF, according to Ben Shalom, he's saying that the IBF has ordered now Zhang Zhang to fight Martin Bakole. So now you're thinking, right? We put on our thinking caps. Why would the IBF, if this is true, right? Because this is what Ben Shalom is saying, right? Ben Shalom, they're saying that they fully expect Zhang Zhang to duck, right? But Ben Shalom said that Ajit Kabayel put out of the purse bids. He didn't want the fight. Zhang Zhang has now been ordered, right? So if you go here, Zhang Zhang has been ordered. Why would the IBF order Zhang versus Bakole? Two guys that are below Kabayel. Do you think that they just let Kabayel off the hook? No, this is the IBF. They don't play. So it's either one or two things. Either Ajit Kabayel will be removed from the rankings for not fighting Bakole, or he'll stay at number 3 and he'll get called up to fight Daniel Dubois. It's one of those two things. So either Bakole will move up to number 3 and take Kabayel's spot, and Zhang will move up to 4, and that's why they called Zhang versus Bakole next, or Kabayel will keep his spot and he's been called up to fight Dubois. So that's what you like. There's a lot of things that go into boxing, man, that you got to think about. You know what I'm saying? So now the only thing about this is him being called up to Dubois. Dubois has a voluntary defense, so he can essentially fight anybody in the top 15. So he could fight anybody from Ajit Kabayel to Justin Honey to Guido Vianello to Jared Anderson to Derek Chisora to Efe Ajagba. He could fight any of these people in the top 15. That's what a voluntary defense is. You can fight anybody in the top 15. But Frank Warren, he has further shrunk and narrowed down his options, because he has claimed himself that Dubois is going to fight one of the top 5. But the top 5 could actually be the top 7, because the first 2 aren't rated. So like I said, man, there's a lot of things when it comes to boxing, man. It can get complicated. The more you know, the less you know, because you have to look into more things. But the more you know, still, at least you're putting forth that effort. So Ben Shalom has claimed that the IBF is called Zhang Zhang versus Bakole, and Bakole and Ben Shalom, and they're fully justified to think this way. They believe that Zhang Zhang is not going to fight him. Instead, he's going to duck. So yeah, so I don't think that I don't know. We'll see what Zhang is going to do. Zhang has been awfully quiet lately. You know, sometimes you'll see him talking or whatever, like posting little short clips, or you know what I'm saying, calling out people or whatever. He hasn't really said anything, so it's either maybe he's preparing to fight Bakole or he's preparing to go a whole nother route, man. But you know, Bakole has claimed and Ben Shalom has claimed that Zhang, like I said, it was known that Zhang was going to fight Bakole before, and he bowed out, and then now Kabayel's bowed out, and now it's Zhang again. We'll see what Zhang does. But Dubois is definitely looking for a fight. He's looking for a good fight, and we know it's not going to be Bakole. Unless Zhang backs out, then it could potentially be Bakole. You know, so there's a lot of potentials. You know, it could potentially be Ajit Kabayel. It could potentially be Zhang Zhang. It could potentially be Bakole, which I don't think so. I think they want to get Bakole in the title eliminator, or it could potentially be anybody in the top 15. You know, so, you know, but according to Frank Warren, it could be anybody in the top 5, which could also be anybody from 3 to 7, because the first 2 aren't rated. So like it gets complicated, man, but it's not really too complicated if you pay attention. But if you just want to jump to conclusions, then it's gonna be, you're just gonna look dumb, and it's gonna be complicated because no one really knows. It's all speculation, which is why people were talking about Daniel Dubois fighting Fabio Wardley, right? Because Fabio Wardley is ranked number 12 in the IBF, and when you're doing a voluntary defense, like I said, you could fight anybody in the top 15. But Frank Warren, who also manages Fabio Wardley, he shut that down because he said he doesn't believe Fabio Wardley's ready yet, and I agree. I don't think he's ready either. But according to the IBF rules, Fabio Worley could definitely be an option. The only person that's not ducking anybody apparently is Daniel Dubois and Martin Bakole. I think it's hard for DDD to duck Triple D. Yes, sir. Daniel Dynamite Dubois. He said, I think it's hard for Triple D to duck because not only is he a champ, he's in the IBF. Exactly. And it makes all of his opposition look bad if they don't mix it up or challenge it. Exactly. So to me, the people that are looking bad right now is Legit Caballel until further notice, Zhang until further notice, and yeah, according to the, Anthony Joshua's for some people look bad, but I think people are just being hard on Anthony Joshua. I think Anthony Joshua should be treated as a warrior. The only time I was hard on Anthony Joshua because he didn't fight Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. But other than that, I can't really knock him because, like I said, Anthony Joshua, you got to give these fighters the benefit of the doubt. He fought Andy Ruiz. When he lost, he spun the block and fought him immediately. So he likes to get his rematches back to back. You don't believe that? Well, then what happened when he fought Alexander Usyk? He lost, and then he got his get back immediately. He lost again, but he wanted the rematch. So I believe Anthony Joshua, after he lost to Dubois, no matter how devastating it was, I do think he wanted the rematch. However, you have a team around you, and you should have a team. You know what's indicative of boxers having a team around them? Teofimo fighting Steve Claggett. Nobody wanted to see him fight Steve Claggett, but his team and him decided that it would be better if they fight an exciting fight coming off of a shitty performance against Jermaine Ortiz. So you want to get your name, back in the mix, and you want to get people excited about you again. Same with Shakur Stevenson. He fought Artem Harutyunyan. No one wanted to see that fight, but he had a team around him that knew that he would need a nice little bounce back rebound fight to get people excited about him again, which is why he fought Artem Harutyunyan after having a shitty performance against Edwin De Los Santos. So it would behoove people in different situations, like if you're coming off of a loss, a devastating loss, or you're coming off of a shitty performance, your team probably advises you like, hold on, we know you want to go to another tough fight, but we want to build your profile back up, for your marketing and your branding, and we want to reestablish you as a top guy in the people's eyes. So you have tune-ups. So Anthony Joshua and his team are probably advising him to not have a tune-up per se, but to go a less dangerous route than Daniel Dubois, where you could go a more fruitful route and fight a guy who will make more money in Tyson Fury. Whether he wins or loses to Usyk, you can make more money with Tyson Fury, and it's less dangerous. Why wouldn't you do that? It's a business. Like, it's a business. So why wouldn't you, if you're Anthony Joshua towards the end of your career, wait for a more lucrative deal and fight, and potentially fighting Tyson Fury, a fight that's over 20 years in the making. I'm exaggerating with 20 years, but at least a decade. You know what I'm saying? Or if you don't fight Tyson Fury, he could fight Deontay Wilder now, because I guarantee you Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua still generates more revenue than Anthony Joshua versus Dubois in a rematch, whether or not Dubois is a champion, or regardless of Dubois being a champion. You know what I'm saying? So I hope Wilder doesn't fight anybody else, but that's still a fight that a lot of people want to see, because they don't care about certain fighters being older or having a lot of fights or being washed. They just want to see blood, But then when it comes to Lomachenko, all of a sudden, who's younger than Deontay Wilder with less than half his fights of Deontay Wilder, they're worried about him being old when it comes to Tank, because they don't like Tank and they want to, or they love Lomachenko and they don't want him potentially get hurt. But Deontay Wilder, they don't care. They could just sacrifice him. Sacrifice him as tribute, like it's Hunger Games. You know what I'm saying? They don't mind him getting his head beat off, potentially. Shout out to Deontay Wilder, though, man. I wish him the best. I don't think he should fight. But, certain people, when it comes to certain people and certain fighters, they don't give them the old excuse, Deontay Wilder's older than Lomachenko with twice as many fights as Lomachenko. No one is screaming that he's old and he can't fight anymore. No, they want to see Anthony Joshua knock his head off. They want to see Bakole knock his head off. They want to see whoever else, Moses Atama or Jared Big Baby Anderson, whoever else that they suggested he should fight, But Lomachenko, they want to protect him, right? They want to keep him in their arms, It's crazy, bro. Lomachenko has 21 fights. Deontay Wilder has 48 fights. Yeah, do the math. That's double. Over double. 21 plus 21 is how much? 42. Deontay Wilder has 48 fights. And, oh, by the way, Lomachenko's 36. Deontay Wilder's 39. So he's older with more fights. Older with more mileage. But you want to protect Lomachenko, though. Fucking dumbasses. FA, go ahead and walk out when the bell rings. Walk out when the bell rings. We understand. Because Young Dynamite on fire. I'm telling you, bro. Daniel Dubois going to drop the bombs on FA and John, but... Hey, you speak respectfully in regards to Nigerian badman. What's wrong with you, Dub? Put some respect on my Nigerian brethren, man. Shout out to F.A. Jagba, man. He gonna put up a fight, man. He got F.A. Jagba messed up, man. You know what I'm saying? The Bumba Clot Badman out of Nigeria.
Me blood clot.
Yes, sir. Stop playing, my boy. But yeah, I think Daniel Dubois will win. I ain't gonna lie. My guy Ty in the building. Oh man, yes, sir. So yeah, man, that's all I want to talk about right there, man. Zayla Zhang and the business of boxing, man. Boxing is not just about, oh, this guy's not fighting this guy, so this guy's scared of that guy. No, that's not how boxing works, man. I know that's how you feel because, like I said, boxing is a very intimate sport. You feel like you're living vicariously through these fighters and stuff like that. So if your favorite fighter is tough or looks like a beast, then you feel like you look like a beast or you're somehow vindicated through their triumphs. It's real weird, you know what I'm saying? But that's how people feel, which is why so many people were so disappointed in Mike Tyson, and they believed that Mike Tyson would beat Jake Paul, even though he's 30 years his senior, because they still feel like if Mike Tyson wins, it somehow makes them in their era of loving or fandom or love for boxing feels good. It makes them feel strong. Like, no, Mike Tyson ain't have no freaking chance against Jake Paul. I didn't say he had no chance, but I did say he was going to lose, and that's what happened. I said that Jake Paul would win by decision, and that's what happened. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just common sense that the young 28-year-old is going to beat the old 58-year-old. I don't give a fuck what he used to be and what Jake Paul currently is. He's still a young man in his physical prime that goes through a boxing routine and regimen with professional boxers. So by default, he's going to be in better shape to fight a guy who just had an ulcer flare up in the airport while sitting down waiting for his next flight while doing nothing. That's just a reality, bro. Shout out to Mike Tyson, though. You know what I'm saying? He used his reputation from 30 years ago to get $20 million. I'm not mad at that. Shout out to him. I respect. That's why I love it for Mike Tyson. But, you know, these dummies that are coming out talking about, man, I didn't see one uppercut from Mike Tyson. I didn't see one uppercut. When's the last time you seen a Tyson uppercut? You upper dummy. You a dummy and you the upper side of idiocy. When's the last time you seen a Tyson uppercut? You talking about you mad you ain't see a Tyson uppercut? Come on, bro. Like just bro, you just dumb, bro. You just dumb, bro.
You dumbass.
You just dumb, bro. You know what I'm saying? What they call it? What do they call it on what's that man's name? Charlemagne the God call it Donkey of the Day. There's a whole bunch of donkeys of the days. Like, why would you see a Tyson uppercut at 58 years old? You didn't see a Tyson uppercut when he was 38 years old, when he fought Kevin McBride and he retired in the 6th round. Did you see a Tyson uppercut then? But you think you're gonna see it now? The man came out with a knee brace. Shout out to Tyson, man. Without Ronnie Shields, FA in trouble. Yeah, nah, I think FA is in trouble, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? I got love for that Nigerian brethren, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I got Daniel Dubois winning. Like I said, I be honest with you, you know me, man. I call boxing like I see it. I was rooting for FA Jogba against Guido Vianello, the Italian stallion, you know, the Italian fighter at heavyweight. But I think that FA Jogba, I think he lost that fight. I thought he lost a close fight, but it was a close fight that should have went to Guido Vianelli. It was a close fight, but it wasn't close from the standpoint of either one could have won. I thought FA Jogba lost that fight, but I didn't watch it again, though. You know, sometimes I like to, before I make those assessments, I like to watch fights multiple times. I did not watch that fight again, but I thought that Guido won. And I scored it, too. I don't remember my scorecards, but I scored it in favor of Guido. But, yeah, so I think the reason why I say that is I'm saying that if you fight a close fight with Guido Vianello, I don't think you have a good chance against Daniel Dubois. Styles make fights still, but stylistically, I think Daniel Dubois will knock out Guido Vianello, and I think he'll knock out FA Jogba. So we'll see, man. That peekaboo weave was the last thing to go. Tyson was in a wheelchair for 2 years. Exactly. We've seen him on with a walking stick. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, but to think that he's going to beat Jake Paul and like, it's okay that you think that, but then to get mad at Mike Tyson and talk like you're disappointed in Mike Tyson. What? Why are you disappointed in Mike Tyson? Because you're an idiot? Because you don't watch boxing and you don't know that boxing is a sport that is dominated by men in their physical prime usually. And if you're not in your physical prime, then you're probably in your 30s or late 30s or early 40s at the most. Why do you think George Foreman was celebrated for coming back at 45 and winning a title? Mike Tyson is 13 years older than that. People were impressed with George Foreman coming back at 45. and winning. They were impressed. It was unheard of. Mike Tyson was a decade plus older than that. And you're saying you're disappointed in Mike. You should be disappointed in yourself because you're dumb. That's it, bro. And then even with Bernard Hopkins, last time we seen B-Hop, he was knocked out the ring by Joe Smith Jr. He was 52, still 6 years younger than Mike Tyson. A half a decade plus younger than Mike Tyson. And you thought Mike Tyson, the last time we seen Mike Tyson 20 years ago, he retired on his stool because he was tired in the 6th round. You thought that Mike Tyson, being older than both aforementioned legends, and B-Hop and George Foreman, you thought that he would throw uppercuts out the gate. You thought he would be throwing uppercuts coming out the dressing room. You thought he would throw uppercuts on the walkway. You thought he would throw uppercuts exploding out his corner when the first round bell sounded. You fucking dumbass. And you had the audacity to be disappointed in Mike Tyson. You should be disappointed in your lack of intelligence. That's what you should be disappointed in. Just enjoy the show, bro. But this just in, man. Eddie Hearn has said Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn talks have now restarted, and he's very hopeful the deal can get done. I think if everyone's sensible, proactive, and just park the egos for a moment, then I think we could get the fight made. I'm very hopeful. Okay, you see what he just said there? He says, I think if everyone's sensible, proactive, and just park the egos for a moment, I'm very hopeful that the fight can be made. That's promotion. That's promoter jargon for if everybody just does what I think they should do, then the fight will be made. That fight's not happening. So basically what he says that he wants everybody to park their egos. He means everybody besides himself. You know? So basically he's saying that if Chris Eubank isn't willing to accept the money that he's willing to offer, then it's because Chris Eubank's ego's too big. That's how they talk, bro. It's not that their ego's too big, it's just that you being funny with the money. My Oscar says, to me, it's crazy people saying he lost because of the knee brace. It's crazy, bro. When his ass was out, I knew he was double toast. Exactly. Man had his cheeks out. He was basically showing, you know what he was doing? He was showing you his ass. He's like, yeah, y'all think I'm about to win? Let me show you my butt. You dummy. That's exactly what he did. Exactly what he did, man. Shout out to Mike Tyson, bro. I'm not mad at Mike Tyson, bro. I'm not mad at Mike Tyson, bro. But I am mad at all the people who had Mike Tyson before. Shout out to my boy Oscar, man. You know, I am mad at all the people that had Mike Tyson winning before, you know, saying that Jake Paul had no chance. Now they're coming out and saying Mike Tyson had no chance. Yeah, okay. But you weren't saying that before. But that's what it is, though, because people want to save face, right? They want to save face, and, you know, and I get it because, you know, as a boxing head, you want to go for boxing because you feel like you're betraying boxing. But also as a boxing head, you should also approach all your assessments and your analytics and the fights and your predictions from a responsible, logical perspective. You know, you're going out there and saying Mike Tyson's going to win. Like, yeah, if I'm one of the fighters that were at the press conference, of course, like if you're Bruce Shushu Carrington, if you're Katie Taylor, if you're whoever else that was up there saying Mike Tyson's going to win, you owe Mike Tyson that, right? That's love for boxing. But I'm talking about the analysts who literally gave breakdowns and predictions and making all these ridiculous claims saying Jake Paul has no chance. No, you had no reason to say that, you know, of course I said, this is what I said, which I think is what you should do, you know, not just because I did it, but I think it just makes sense. You'd be like, hey, I'm rooting for Mike Tyson. Like I told you, I was rooting for Mike Tyson with every fiber in my body, from the sole of my feet to the hair on top of my head. I was rooting for Mike Tyson. But I said, I think Jake Paul's going to win because he's 28 and Mike Tyson's 58. One's a young man in his physical prime, a pretty big guy, and the other one's a damn near a geriatric. He's closer to being a geriatric than he is to being in athletic shape. So that was just common sense, man. But, you know, common sense ain't too common. But yeah, man. So I think that I think people talking crazy is crazy. people talking crazy is crazy. But yeah, man, I was watching some basketball last night too, man. They had some good games, man. They had some good games in basketball, man. They got the in-season tournament going on. You know what I'm saying? What they call them, West Side Connect for the Lakers went crazy the other night. A lot of things to be had in the realm of sports, man. I might start doing some basketball videos again, man. I said I was only going to do the boxing and WNBA, but I was thinking about doing the NBA as well, man. Why not? Why not? You know what I'm saying? Maybe we might do some NBA coverage, man. But yeah, there's, like this week, I'm trying to think of what goes on this week. Don't forget to smack that like button for your boy too. This week, man, in the boxing schedule tomorrow, excuse me. Tomorrow we have Harlem Eubank, who's Chris Eubank. Speaking of Chris Eubank Jr., this is Chris Eubank's cousin. Chris Eubank Jr.'s cousin, Chris Eubank Sr.'s nephew. He's going against Nurali Erdogan. And Friday later on, because that will be in England. And then Friday later on, we have Brandon Adams versus Andreas Katsarakis. That's going to be tomorrow night. So looking forward to that. We have some fights on Saturday, not too big, but we're going to tune in, good Lord willing. We have a fight coming out of Johannesburg, South Africa. That's going to be on DAZN in the afternoon. I might pull up for that. I'm not sure. But I'll definitely pull up for the fight in Texas between David Cardenas and Robert Ledesma. Good Lord willing. So we have some fights on Friday and Saturday. I'm looking forward to the most that Brandon Adams versus Andreas Katsarakis. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. But yeah, I don't think Bronny is that good. Yeah, he in the G League right now because he's not that good. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't think Bronny is that good either. But I do think he deserves a chance. I think, and some people say, oh, well, it's nepotism. Well, there's a whole lot of nepotism in the world, especially in sports and especially in the business world and corporate America. You know, there's a lot of people that aren't qualified to get the things that they get. So I think if you're the son of an all-time great legendary player in LeBron James, I think you deserve a little more than the average person. You know, it just is what it is. It's just funny when people call out nepotism. Not you, Oscar. I'm just speaking now. It's funny when people call out nepotism when they want to, when it's convenient. You know, it's so funny. You don't have to go further than the Lakers to point out nepotism, right? Do you think Jeannie Buss was qualified to own the Lakers, or did she inherit it from her father? Which is no knock. Hey, that's the American dream, right? Well, you work hard so you can make life easier for your kids, right? But when Jeannie Buss was the owner for the Lakers, did anybody call out nepotism? When her brother was the president or head of boxing operations, whatever he was before he stepped down, was he qualified, or was it nepotism? JJ Redick never coached a day in his life. Their head coach, is that not nepotism? Did he not get it because he was a former NBA player? Was he a coach? Did he deserve to be the coach of the Lakers more than Darwin Ham, the guy that he replaced? Darwin Ham has a history of being a player too, and he has a history of being an assistant coach. He's an assistant coach right now. You know what I'm saying? Weren't there other head coaches from the high school level to the collegiate level to the pro level that are out of a job that are more qualified than JJ Redick? I'm not mad at JJ Redick. I think it's dope. You know what I'm saying? Because he's friends with LeBron James. But that friendship could be considered nepotism. They had a podcast. Also, his other friendships around the league could have been nepotism. His role as a commentator could have been considered nepotism. I'm sure he had some connections that he utilized to get the position there too. So it's funny when we talk about nepotism in reference to certain things. You know what I'm talking about? Donald Trump's son is in the front office and his administration. Is that not nepotism? I mean, there's nepotism all over the place. But when a black man does you know what I'm saying? Practices nepotism, all of a sudden it's nepotism. You know? When a black man hooks up his friends, then it's nepotism. Or his family members, you know what I'm saying? Nepotism goes on in the company that you work at is probably demonstrating nepotism. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So nepotism is all over America. Nepotism is part of the American dream. Fuck out of here. But yeah, no, I do agree with you. I don't think Bronny is that good either. With all that being said, with all that nepotism speech and all this, I went on a tangent, but I agree with what Oscar said. Yeah, Bronny's not that good. I agree. He's not that good. But the thing is, though, when people say he's not that good, he wasn't drafted number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He wasn't drafted none of that. He was drafted like number 50 something. He's about as good as a guy that was drafted number 50 something is. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't drafted like top 10. He was drafted in the 50s. So he's about as good as a 50th draft pick should be. You know, so I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's. I mean, he's in the G League right now. You know, I think he's going to be given. He's probably going to be given more chances than most that don't have a father that's a legendary player. You know, most that don't have a father or have any other connections in the NBA. He's probably going to give more chances than that guy or girl in the WNBA. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that he's going to be springboarded into a position that he doesn't deserve. You know, but he's going to get more chances. He's probably going to be able to stay in the G League. If he doesn't make it in the NBA, he'll probably be able to stay in the G League longer than most, you know what I'm saying, to see if he can ever develop those skills or what it takes. But do I think he's going to be a star? I personally don't. And no disrespect to Bronny James. I don't think he's going to be a star. Will he be a role player? Maybe, you know. Maybe he has maybe he could be a role player. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he has the potential to be a role player, but there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's that good either. But yeah, when you it's just funny when we talk about nepotism, man. I mean, shoot, Eddie Hearn is nepotism. Eddie Hearn wasn't his father. Was his father named Barry Hearn or whatever? He inherited from his father. There's no shame in that. You should. That's why we work hard. I want my kids to inherit some of the stuff I give them too, or if hopefully I'm in a position where I can hook up my guy Oscar. You know what I'm saying? Put him in the, you know what I'm saying? Put him make him the head of boxing operations, or my boy Dub. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I want to hook up my friends. Damn right. It's just so funny. People call it like this is the first time it ever happened. No, it happens in administratively all the time, all the time. How many sons? Look at the Barrys. Brent Barry, John Barry. You don't think their father and their father's presence as an NBA player helped them get into the NBA, or even rest in peace Bill Walton. You don't think his presence as a legendary player helped his son Luke Walton get into the NBA? And when Luke Walton was out of the NBA, you don't think that helped facilitated his ability to land a coaching position? By the way, he was also coaching the Lakers. You don't think that was a play of nepotism? Like, bro, come on now, you know. And like I said, once again, I'm not talking to Oscar. I'm talking to people in general. So yeah, man, yeah, nepotism is all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Every time you go to work and your boss's son is in a managerial position, that was nepotism, with no experience, no college degree. You know what I'm saying? Has a high school diploma, if that, and he's in a managerial role. That's nepotism. Every single time you see it. Every time you see that punk ass little nephew who's on coke, you know what I'm saying, out there on lunch breaks doing lines like Tyson Fury. Every time you see that person in a managerial role, or in a role period, and not busted or fired because he failed the drug test, that's nepotism. Every single time. Whether it's the stepbrother or whether it's the son of the girlfriend the boss is fucking, or the nephew of the boss, the nephew of the boss's husband. You know what I'm saying? Your boss, when she has a husband or a boyfriend and their nephew gets hired, nepotism. Nepotism is everywhere. Though I think it's a bad move team wise. Here's a great business move. Lakers be banking. Yeah, facts. I don't think it's a bad move because, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, Oscar. This is why I don't think it's a bad move, because who else would they have drafted in as a 55th overall pick? I'm gonna ask you this, right? And anybody, not just you, Oscar. Anybody. Dang, I can't see it. What was his draft? What? Hold on. I'm trying to find his draft. His draft pick. Where was he drafted? He was the. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I was right. 50. I'm a beast. I thought I was wrong. It was 55th. I thought it was like 53rd. Yep. So he's a 55th overall pick. He went in the second round and he was a 55th overall pick. So let me ask you this, Oscar. Not just you, though. I'm asking anybody. I want to ask the chat. Who went 54th? Who went 53rd? Who went 52nd? Who went 51st? Who went 50th? Who went 49th? If you can't name the players that went before him, then how is this a bad pick? He was picked in the second round and he was 55th overall pick. He was picked 55th. I can't name anybody that was picked before him. So unless you could tell me that the 53rd pick is doing better than him, or they would have been better off picking the 54th guy, then I think he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. A 55th overall pick, not supposed to really be doing much. He's probably supposed to be in the G League. But yeah, like I said, I agree. I don't really have too much belief he's going to be too good, to be honest. I don't think he's going to be too good, but I'm not mad at that. Like if he would have went like fifth or first, and they had some people that they could have picked over, then that makes sense. But like even the Connect guy, Dalton Connect, West Side Connect, or whatever you want to call him, that was dubbed by Snoop Dogg, West Side Connect. He was picked before Bronny James. Hence, he's doing better than Bronny James. He has higher expectations because he was picked, like, whatever number he was picked. I think 20-something or 23rd or something like that. I don't remember. But, yeah, so, or he was picked 17th or whatever position draft pick he was picked. It wasn't like he was their first pick. You know what I'm saying? So, but, yeah, man, that's it for me, man. That's all I want to talk about, man. Do a little short, sweet show. I do think that I am interested to see what Jose Rayo Valenzuela. I looked around, but I don't know what Jose Valenzuela is gonna do next, because Pitbull's fighting. He's fighting Alex Fierro. So I don't know what Jose Rayo Valenzuela is gonna do next. I'm very interested to see what happens then. And like I said, Andy Hiroka, the guy who just beat Ishmael Barroso. Andy Hiroka, who is I believe is Ghanaian and Japanese. He called out Rayo. We'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. I think that I don't know, man. I think that'd be a good fight, but I don't know if it happens. I think that Rayo will probably get like a easy fight, and I think he deserves it. You know what I'm saying? Upsetting Pitbull. I don't think he'll fight Andy Hiroka, because Andy Hiroka is ranked number 1. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Rayo has a voluntary defense, so I think he could really pretty much fight anybody. So I don't think he'll fight Andy Hiroka. I think that's a tough fight, but that'd be good for him if he does. That'd be crazy. Ellerby looks like a big no. Where did that come from? That was so wild. That was so random. I agree. To be fair, Eddie Hearn inherited the rundown remains of matchroom after Frank Warren ran Barry Hearn out of boxing in the 90s. He had to rebuild from. Yeah, I didn't say. Look, I never said. You see, to be fair, to be fair again, George, shout out to my guy George in the building. And to be fair, I never said that he didn't have to put in work. I didn't say that anybody having nepotism or being the beneficiary of nepotism doesn't have to put in work. I never said that. I never said Eddie Hearn, to be fair, didn't have to put in work. I never said that he didn't have to reestablish it or establish it. I never said he didn't have his work cut out for him. That still doesn't disqualify him from nepotism. So I do. Like I said, I've said it multiple times. I think Eddie Hearn's the best promoter. You know what I'm saying? I think Matchroom, they'd be doing their thing, despite losing. So I have the utmost respect for Eddie Hearn. That doesn't change the fact that he inherited it, and that's not a problem. But that's my point. My point is not that inheriting. I said it's an American dream. You should want to inherit stuff, but it's just funny when people try to look down or shit upon people that inherit their position when they don't agree with it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's wrong. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of examples of nepotism and inheritance and you being springboarded into a position or having a leg up over the competition. There's plenty of examples, good and bad. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Hearn is a good example because he seems like a very hard worker. But Bronny James is like a hard worker too. The man almost died on the court and worked his way back up into not only playing again, but competing at a high level again. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, LeBron James is balling into his 40s. You don't think that his kids probably have good work ethic, So, and that's just not even in the sports realm. I mean, that's in any realm, you know what I'm saying? There's examples like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He doesn't seem like he has a best work ethic, but he was springboarded into being a prize fighter and having a lot of renown due to his the reputation of his father. And he deserves that. He deserves that chance. Now, he didn't maximize it, but he still deserves that chance. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Let's look at boxing too. I mean, Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, those are examples of people using their parents. I mean, what's that guy Crawler? Not Anthony Crawler, but the other guy, the younger Crawler who just won. And that was a stoppage. You don't think that was because of his name? That was a premature stoppage, but they did it because they want to make the Crawlers continue to look good. That's an example of stuff being in your favor due to your family name, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, will you take advantage of it? I don't know. I hope Ryo does fight Hiroka. Yeah, that'd be good. He's a good challenge, but he could lose. Yeah, he could lose. Born with a silver spoon is just another way of saying your parents took being parents serious. Exactly. Irony. That define irony. The irony in that is that when people say you're born with a silver spoon, it is a lot of time. Now, everybody born with a silver spoon don't mean that their parents did something nice now. You know what I'm saying? They could have been doing something wrong to get their wealth, like stealing and, what I'm saying, enslaving and robbing and killing. But yes, I agree that they took parenting seriously. We all want to be the beneficiary. We all want our kids to be the beneficiary of the benefit. Yeah, dang, I can't speak. We all want our kids to be the beneficiaries of nepotism and our loved ones. I would think so. Like if I was in a good position, hell yeah, I want to put George and Irony and Oscar and all the homies in the good positions to succeed. Damn right. Campbell Hatton. That's a good thing. But I will say this, George. No, I don't know this because obviously I'm in America and I don't pay attention to Campbell Hatton that much. But shout out to Ricky Hitman Hatton, man. That was one of my favorite fighters, right? I'm gonna be honest. I don't know this, but I don't think Campbell Hatton is an example of not working hard. He seems like he works hard. Like I said, I don't know this. I'm not in the gym, but I had seen some, I'll be watching interviews and stuff like that. Everything that people say about him is that he's a hard worker in the gym. He lives in the gym. So I do think that there's a difference between falling short and not working hard. I don't want to put that all in the same, because sometimes, like your father or your mother are exceptional talents at what they do. That doesn't mean that your calling is to do what they did. And if you do try to do what they did and you're not as good as them, I don't think it's necessarily an example of falling, of being trash or indicative of you being lazy and not working hard. I don't want to say that, because it's like, even as much as I like Denzel, right? I watch every Denzel movie. I don't watch every movie that his son comes out with or every show that his son's in. John David Washington, no disrespect to him, but he doesn't do it for me like Denzel, you know what I'm saying? And he probably is a good actor, but when I watch him act, it doesn't captivate me like Denzel. But that doesn't mean he's not a hard worker. The man was a football player, and then now he was on the show with The Rock and has so many movies. He probably does work hard. It's just, it is what it is, I don't want to say because Campbell Hatton is not good that he's not a hard worker. But you're right, yeah. But you're right, because Campbell Hatton is a beneficiary of Ricky Hitman Hatton's name, right? Nobody would be following Campbell Hatton fighting James Flint, especially not a rematch against James Flint, if he wasn't Campbell Hatton's son, right? I mean, if he wasn't Ricky Hatton's son. So you're right. That is an example. And that's not bad. That's true. Some exceptions. And there's always some exceptions. Yeah. So I'm glad that you said that, George. Thank you for bringing that up, because I'm not saying that I'm saying the opposite. I'm not saying that, because the examples of nepotism that I gave in inheritance, I'm not saying that those folks aren't hard workers. Hell, even the one I gave with Trump, his son could be a hard worker. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't change the fact that he was in that position because of his pappy. You know what I'm talking about? So, and his pappy was probably in that position because of his pappy, and his itchy gritchy grandma and all that stuff. So, yo, just doing the building. What's good, brethren? I mean, like look at I got another, look at Jay-Z and Beyonce's daughter, Blue Ivy, right? She might be talented, but is she exceptionally more talented than any other young child that sings and stuff? I don't know. She probably is an exceptional singer, but because she's Beyonce and Jay-Z's offspring, they're gonna be more prone to be given a role to voice a young Nala, because you're Jay-Z and Beyonce's son or daughter, excuse me. So, and what's wrong with that? They should get an advantage because they have the connections. Their parents established the connections. They have the opportunities to give them, and silver spoon feed them, like Irony said. What's wrong with that? That's what I want to do. I can't do it yet. I could probably help them, give some tips on boxing, but I can't, But yeah, you better believe it. If I ever blow up with this content creation stuff and my kids want to do content creation, you better believe I'm gonna be up here putting my son and my daughter, hell, even my godson. If my godson wants to do it, I'm gonna put him up here and be like, yeah, man, go check out this channel. You're damn right. I'm supposed to. I'll be failing. You will not be measured to your opposition, but you are compared to your parent. Yep. Is Floyd Mayweather Jr. the best example since he was raised by Roger Mayweather, who was That's a good one. And Floyd Mayweather was very hard. I mean, that's a good one. He very much worked hard. Facts. You know what I'm saying? He definitely worked hard. But yeah, his father, Floyd Mayweather Sr., and then Roger Mayweather, his uncle, rest in peace. Yeah, that's a good one. He was his family. He came from a family of boxers, but like you said, that's a good example because they took him out of, don't quote me, but they took him out of middle school, right? I think he dropped out of middle school to be a full-time boxer. You know, they were all in, and same with what's the name too, Emiliano Vargas. Is Emiliano Vargas not one of your top prospects? He is for me, and his father's Fernando Vargas, and that's good. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, all three of the brothers are decent. You know, I think Emiliano's the best. We just saw Fernando Vargas Jr. He didn't look that great against his last opponent, but he looked all right. But I think Emiliano Vargas is definitely good. You know, now we can assume that Emiliano Vargas probably works the hardest out of the sons because I think that has the most potential. But or maybe he's just the most blessed. You never know. Maybe he's the most talented. You know, so I don't want to equate success with working hard because unfortunately it's not always like that. You know, I think the harder you work, then you are. It's inevitable for you to have a breakthrough, but it's not always the case, man. Sometimes people do work very hard and it just doesn't work out. Unfortunately, it's a harsh reality. So, but yeah, the Campbell Hatton was a good example too. I just didn't want to say that he's not a hard worker because he's not good. He could be good, bro. He just ain't got it, you know. Sometimes you feel me, George. Sometimes you can work hard, you just ain't got it. You know, so yeah, because like I said, the little interviews I see about him, I've heard Eddie Hearn say that, you know, he probably won't ever be Ricky Hatton, but I never heard anybody say that he doesn't work hard, though. You know, in fact, I've heard Eddie Hearn say that Campbell Hatton works hard. I've heard other fighters say that he works hard in the gym and stuff like that. So, you know, I don't want to say just because it's not translating to overwhelming success, I don't want to say that he don't work hard, you know. Because I'll be damned if everybody say I don't work hard. I work hard at this content creation. And, you know, you see where we at. We ain't there yet, but we gonna get there, baby. We gonna get there, baby. Good Lord willing. I'm trying to think of some other boxers that are sons and daughters. Layla Ali was good. Joe Frazier's daughter was good. Oh, Joe Frazier's son wasn't too good. No disrespect. Or Antonio Tarver's son's not too good. But at the same time, we pay attention more to them because they're pops, right? Yeah, so, like, not saying that they're very big, but we did pay attention. Sugar Shane Mosley Jr., right? Please believe a lot of people watch his fights because he's Sugar Shane Mosley's son, more so because of the achievements that he has had in this point of his career. So like even Campbell Hatton, like you said, Campbell Hatton, Sugar Shane Mosley Jr., Antonio Tarver's son, I think he's a junior, Joe Frazier's son. At the point in their career where they started getting eyes on them and televised and broadcasted, if you talk about a fighter, let's say even the great, let's say, dang, give me somebody. Let's say like as good as Jerron Boots Ennis is, right? We weren't following him as much as we were following them in their respective points in their careers, right? Now, when Boots started making a name for himself, or Caleb Plant started making a name for himself, and started getting the victories, then we started following. But some other people like Campbell Hatton, like Sugar Shane Mosley Jr., like the Vargases, you know, we're gonna watch them out the gate just because of who their father is, you know what I'm saying, or you know, or their mothers are, you know what I'm saying. So there's nothing wrong with that. Like if Layla Ali's son starts boxing, oh, we gonna be watching from jump. Yo, Legacy in the building. Do you think Emiliano will break through at 140? I think 140. I think 140. Hearn's son didn't pan. Yeah. There you go. Hearn's son as well. Yep, I forgot about him. Yep. So yeah, there's a lot of, but yeah, I don't want to say that all of them didn't work hard. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., he didn't seem to work hard because we saw him in his drawers eating cereal when he was supposed to be training. Yeah, we saw that 24/7. Yeah, I'm not saying you can't eat your Fruit Loops and stuff like that, but guys, dang, you supposed to be training, bro. You in the pink drawers eating a bowl of cereal with a soggy stomach. Come on, man. Yeah, your belly looking more soggy than your cereal. Come on, man. And then you went out there and proceeded to get your butt kicked. So yeah, but I can't say that everybody. So yeah, so shout out to Eddie Hearn and all the sons, and daughters that do their thing. Like and like Jeannie Buss, she seems like she's a great owner, right? I mean, the Lakers are always in contention, no matter how bad they may seem. They always in contention. Even with Kobe, they had a star. Rest in peace, Kobe. They had a star that was holding it down. You know what I'm saying? And still got him in the playoffs a couple times. Sometimes they missed the playoffs, so sometimes they got him in. But yeah, I think she's a great owner. But it still doesn't change the fact that how she acquired ownership. It's very similar to how LeBron got Bronny James into the league. So it's just, to me, it's just crazy how people will isolate and identify. Well, they will identify situations of nepotism when they don't like it, and they treat it like it's like it never happened before and it's an isolated event. Nah, he's not the trailblazer or pioneer of nepotism. Nepotism is all throughout the world. Like I said, you don't even have to leave the Lakers organization to see examples of nepotism. Just look at their front office. But yep, salute Doc, the surgical genius, the mechanical expert of chopping down the facts. I appreciate you, Legacy. Shout out to you, bro. Yes, sir. I just had to chop down this nonsense about Jai Opetaia, man. People talking crazy. Hell, the Benavidez. I started following David because right. I knew about Jose Benavidez senior. I knew about Jose Benavidez Jr. first. He was the first one I knew about. You know what I'm saying? When he was fighting Terrence Crawford, he was doing all, you know what I'm saying, getting shot and all this other stuff. That's a fact. I knew about Jose Benavidez Jr. way before I started following David Benavidez. That's a fact. What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with that, man. That's what you're supposed to do, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to David Benavidez because, like we just said, there's so many examples of people getting the ball and they fumble it. They drop it or they don't get the yards they're supposed to get. David Benavidez took the rock from his brother Jose and he went running. You know what I'm saying? He took off with it. He expanded their brand and made it even bigger. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's a lot of examples, good examples of nepotism and inheritance and people handing you a role that you taking off. You still have to take advantage of it. But I always give you some examples of some good ones and bad ones, but yeah, there's plenty of examples of people taking the ball, someone initiating the push, and then someone taking it and making that have a snowball effect and make that little ball get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what I'm saying? Do you think 126 gets iron hot next year? I don't know, man, because 126, we got Brandon Figueroa as a champion, right? Because Ray Vargas vacated or was stripped, whatever. Declared champion in recess. We have Nick Ball. We have Rafael Espinosa. We could have a changing of the guard, right? Because Robeisy Ramirez is a tough fight. And then we have Angelo Leo, right? And then as contenders, we got Bruce Shushu Carrington. We have Naya Inoue potentially moving up. We got Stephen Fulton. I don't know, man, because if Espinosa leaves, I don't know. I said Shushu, right? Up and coming. They got some good fighters there, yeah, man. I don't know it's gonna get piping hot though, because like I said, if Espinosa leaves, I think it'll cool down a little bit. But I do think if Espinosa leaves, it's because Robeisy Ramirez won. I'll say that. But I hope Espinosa stays at 126, man. I hope it's not a situation where they're pushing him out and rushing him to 130. Like I said, I like Espinosa. He's if anybody's going to unify or get undisputed, I think it would be him. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think that there's a lot of good fights there too. I think that young guy, isn't that young dude Jonathan Lopez? Isn't he 126 as well? The young guy. He's like, let me look him up. I think Jonathan Lopez is 126 as well. That guy that did he have like a history of sparring with like Naya Inoue and stuff like that? Oh, he's from Florida. Okay, I got root for him more. Oh, he resides in Florida. He's from Pennsylvania. Okay, yeah. Jonathan Lopez is at 126 as well. So yeah, man, they got some. Yeah, you might be right, Oscar. It might turn up. Man. But next year, I'm like I said, I think 154 is gonna be hot. I don't think anything's gonna supplant 154 as the hottest division. I think 140 is gonna turn up too, especially we see how Richardson Hitchens and Liam Paro pans out. Yeah. And then I think I honestly think that 135 is gonna turn up too, man. I know that doesn't seem like it because it's been very stagnant at the top level, right? But I think 135 next year, I think it's gonna be a big year for 135, man. Even with Tank fighting Roach, I think Tank is gonna fight twice next year, and I think it's gonna be a big fight. I do. I'm not saying it's gonna be Tank and Shakur, but I think it's gonna be big, you know. And especially if Keyshawn Davis could beat Baranchyk for the WBO title, then we'll have Shakur, Gervonta, Lomachenko, and and Keyshawn Davis, and then Lomachenko if he retires, and somebody else could pick that up, maybe Roman Moratala. Man, I think 135 could be hot, and not even to mention that if Williams Opetaia and Shakur fight next year, I say if, emphasis on the if. We shall see. 118 looking great, yeah, but they need some more notoriety from a name standpoint. They need more notable names at 118. That's why no one talks about Junto Nakatani unifying, because, you know, unfortunately with Takuma Inoue being dethroned by Seiya Sutsumi, I think that was kind of bad for 118. I know we like underdog stories, and I loved it because that fight was good, but let's be fair. You know, Takuma Inoue, a lot of the attention that he gets is from his older brother Naoya Inoue, the two division undisputed, right? So Takuma Inoue being a champion, I think that would have been more of a story, an intriguing story between a unification between Junto Nakatani and Takuma Inoue than it is for a unification between Junto Nakatani and Seiya Sutsumi, or Junto Nakatani and Ryosuke Yoshida, or Junto Nakatani and Yoshiki Takei, right? None of those guys hold the weight of a Takuma Inoue and Junto Nakatani. So I don't know, man. I think 118 needs some other names, man, for it to get good. Now, I'm not talking about from our standpoint. We like boxing and stuff like that. We like all divisions and stuff like that. But from a global consumption, you know, standpoint, I think it was good that Daigo Higa said that he's not retiring. That's good, you know. But like, who knows Daigo Higa? No disrespect, but you know, people don't pay attention to Daigo Higa, and you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So, but yeah, I'm about to go ahead and call him. I'm gonna get me some food. Try to go get me some breakfast. May order me some Chick-fil-A. You feel me? But yeah, don't forget to smack that like button, man. And yeah, we'll be on later on this evening. Hopefully, if I have some good topics to talk about, I'll be on. But I do have to run some errands and stuff like that. So we'll see. But yeah, don't forget to smack that like button for your boy. And yeah, man, go check out the video I posted yesterday. Like all the videos and turn up. It's been kind of slow for boxing lately. It's always funny whenever I talk about like the channel doing so good, and it's like it tests my heart and my dedication, because then it turns down. It turns up and then turns down whenever I mention it. So I just need to stop mentioning our growth, because then it slows down whenever I mention it. But yeah, man. But shoot, I appreciate y'all rocking as always, man. Don't forget to smack that like button for your boy. And more importantly, though, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. Yes, sir. Let me find my outro. Awkward.
From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.